Check. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I know you can.
Oh, must be a board meeting. Gabe's early.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you for joining us via our district's YouTube channel. At the end of the budget presentation, we will be addressing questions. If you have them, please send an email to BOE publicforum@depewschools.org. That's all one word, BOE publicforum@depewschools.org. Any of you that are here in attendance or at home, you'd like to remove your hats and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jessica, may I have a roll call of trustees, please?
Trustee Bush.
Excused.
Trustee Moody. Here. Trustee LaMarca.
Here.
Trustee Law.
Here.
President Jeff.
Here.
Trustee Spencer.
Excused.
Trustee Young.
Here.
Five present, 0 absent, 2 excused.
May I now have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. We'll go right into our first and only presentation this evening, the budget hearing by Dr. Reed.
Thank you, President Jeff. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the annual budget hearing for the Depew Union Free School District's 21-22 budget. I'd like to start with our first slide. Just waiting, there we go. Starting with our first slide and taking a look at the amount of reductions that we have made since 2010, right at the on the heels of the Great Recession. And you can see that we have reduced our budget requests to almost $9 million over that period of time, and really leveraged the decline in enrollment at that same time to reduce the amount of staffing that was needed. Looking at our enrollment projection for the fall of 2021, we're looking to have 1,775 students enter our doors in September. We reviewed our major cost drivers at the beginning of the budget development process for the 21-22 budget. The major ones are our teacher retirement system, which will have an increase of $182,643. Our employees retirement system, the ERS, which is the non-instructional personnel, an increase of 6.12%. Our health insurance was projected in December of 2020 of an increase of 1.26%. And then our negotiated salaries through our bargaining units, an increase of 1.67%. For a total increase of our major cost drivers of $660,961. Some of the advocacy landscape for the 21-22 budget development, again, pushing the sustainability agenda. We focused again on state aid, updating and phasing in the foundation aid formula. And this was a victory this year as the budget was approved in Albany. They restarted the foundation aid formula and will be phased in over 3 years. That's a huge victory for schools. Tax cap, we always look to an amendment to the formula to support multi-year planning, allowing for more exemptions. We're always asking for more mandate relief to maximize our resources to benefit students. We always ask the legislature to please change your rules or fund your rules. And then reserves. We have asked a couple of years now to introduce legislation for a health insurance reserve for our school district to help us offset any spikes in obligations to our self-funded health insurance program. And that has to be a standalone bill that gets approved by both the Senate, the Assembly, and then signed by the governor. And I'm here to say, just found out tonight, about 30 minutes ago, that it did indeed pass the Assembly. It passed the Senate last week, it passed the Assembly last night, and it is now off to the governor's desk for approval. So that is a huge victory for us. We are very excited about that. And we also asked the legislature to increase our fund balance allowance from the current 4%, and that did not happen at this time. And then we were made aware during the budget development process as the budget was being finalized of the learning loss funding. There are two pots of this funding. The first one is the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, and the district will receive a little over $3.3 million. And then the second pot is the New York State's ARP Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation, and that is a little over $1.7 million. The ARPA funding, the federal side, will go through about 4 years, and the state side allocation will be approximately 3 years. We're hearing information coming out. The details are still rolling out about these allocations and how long they will last. You can see that date in 24-25 ends on September 30th, which is really odd considering our budgets run from July 1 to June 30th. So that's still something that is being reviewed and discussed. For the front end of the funding allocations, we have 50% of that funding available to us, and we'll utilize a chunk of that initially for this budget development or this budget plan. And then as the year goes on and we identify more needs for our learners coming back to us, we will be able to utilize that funding targeting learning loss. Some of the other major cost assistance that we get in our budget plan, our funding mechanisms. First one is state aid. The original executive budget only had an increase of $52,000. The tax levy will be set at 2.99% for an increase of a little over $500,000. Fund balance use compared to this year will be an increase of $750,000. And then other reserves will be a decrease from this current year of $233,000 for a total increase of $1.1 million. Looking at the tax levy specifically, the tax levy is set up with allowable levy growth factor, and it is the lesser of 2% or the CPI. CPI was set at 1.23% on February 1st, so therefore that's the lesser, so that is the base that we have to use before exemptions. So we take a look at our tax levy from the current school year, which is 2021 at 18.4 million. We add in, or we multiply it by a base growth factor that comes from the Office of Real Property Tax Services, and that's factored in based on new bricks and mortar buildings within the school district. So we're able to add in $423,000 onto that levy. We then add in the pilots from 2021, $177,000. That's 6 pilots, payments in lieu of taxes. Then we back out any capital expense within the local budget, and again, that comes from the Office of the State Controller of $23,000. So we set up the adjusted current year levy at a little over $19 million. We then multiply it by the allowable growth factor, which is 1.23%. Then we back out the anticipated pilots for the 21-22 year of $182,000, and the tax levy before any adjustments or exemptions comes to $19,112,418, or an increase of 3.4038%. Then we take a look at the exemptions page, and we can utilize an increase over 2% in ERS and TRS, which we don't qualify for. We add in the capital expense within the local budget, which is both our expenses and also our obligations for the BOCES capital project that we agreed to, which is $165,000. There are no torts or judgments above 5%. So the tax levy exclusions total that $165,000. The new levy with the exemptions is $19,277,706. The allowable tax impact increase is $794,422, or allowable increase of 4.3%. We would rather not go that high with our tax levy, obviously. So therefore, we have set the tax levy at 2.99%, or $553,238. And some reasons why we don't go to the max cap this year and or even go over the cap is the climate. Actually, what's been going on for the last 15 months. Considering our combined wealth ratio is percentile is 50, which means we are wealthier than only 50% of the other districts in New York State, and our 3-year average of free and reduced lunch, kindergarten through 6th grade, is approximately 52%. Taking a look at the use of our reserves, we'll be using $213,280 out of our employee benefit accrued liability reserve. That's focused mainly on contractual obligations for any retirees. $300,000 to help offset the employees' retirement reserve or employees' retirement system, and $100,000 out of the TRS reserve for the teachers' retirement system. And then $674,760 for our purchase our buses, our vehicle reserve, and then $100,000 out of our repair reserve to help purchase a new boiler. And that'll be the last boiler that we'll need to purchase to make sure all of our boilers are 3 years or younger on our campus. So the total of use of reserves for this current plan is $1,388,040. This is a graphic showing the use of our reserves over a period of time since 2016, where we do have spikes in our reserves. That is typically where we are getting ready to do a capital project, where we fund our capital project reserve, so to offset any taxpayer obligation for that particular capital project. And we're getting ready to do that again, and the board will be funding the reserves at the end of this school year. So as we work through our budget development process, we engage our school community through Thought Exchange. This is the second year that we've done this. And we ask the question, what are your most important priorities when considering the 21-22 budget plan of the school district? We had 247 participants, 147 thoughts, and over 6,000 ratings. A majority, which was good, were our parent and guardians, 50%, 16% students, and 34% staff members. As far as what building they were associated mostly with, we had 47% coming from the elementary school, 26% in the middle school, and 27% in the high school. Some of the top key thoughts is keep staffing, no cuts in teachers, maintain teaching staff, all special area classes to stay in place. Looking at some themes, specifically technology, school technology, maintaining high levels of technology integration, technology offered to enhance the learning of all students. And in fact, our technology budget for the 21-22 school year has $713,483 in it, which includes approximately 400 new devices and maintenance of contractual services. For example, internet safety and encryption software. Another theme was class size, keep class size low, 20 or under. I am basing my thoughts on the fact that we will be back in school with full class sizes by the fall, keep classes at Hugo with no more than 20 to 22, and trying to keep class sizes small, 20 or less. Looking at our class sizes, kindergarten through 12th grade, our low is 19 and our high I think is 24, so we're right within that average of 21 across the district. Another theme was programs, providing a comprehensive and rigorous program for all. Music and art programs are not dropped from the budget, and to preserve and maintain programs for students. And then our budget requests. This is when we begin to build the budget, we get our request in from our buildings and our different departments and begin to prioritize them. So our first priority was our special education services, and these are based on new enrollment, CSE meetings, and recommendations. That increases just under $300,000. Our Wildcat Summer Program, that was programming that was in our PEP grant a couple years ago. We were planning on running the program last year, but we did cut it from the budget because we knew that we weren't going to be able to have students on campus for a program like that. But we are excited, and I think it's fully filled for the summer already. We have a wait list, so we put that into the budget for $52,000. That high school boilers there that I mentioned we'll use our reserve for, repair reserve. 3 floor scrubbers that are aged out, 10 years old, and that's $56,000. And then a rototiller for our grass ball diamonds at $3,000 to help reduce our maintenance expenses. And then with our stimulus funding, we identified areas within our programming to help our students with the learning loss from the pandemic. So we built in 2 FTEs for literacy support, 2 for numeracy support. Our summer instructional programming, we more than doubled opportunities for our kids. In addition to the Wildcat Summer Program, a pre-kindergarten classroom, 1 FTE, and then a K-5 social and emotional learning support for a school counselor. So that's 6 FTEs from the learning loss funding. So our initial budget gap was $755,420. When we look at reductions, we always want to protect programming just like the thought exchange talked about, protect class sizes, maximize our resources and efficiencies, evaluate needs versus wants, and we always evaluate our budgeting and spending over 3 years. And to fill that gap, we identify the amount of proposed and final state aid along with the federal stimulus. Then if needed, reduce the amount of new budget requests in a reverse prioritized order. Then again, if needed, implement further budget reductions within the current budget in a prioritized order. And if needed, do reduce a combination of both of those lists. So what we were able to do was to reduce salary and benefit reductions and retirement breakage for a little over $250,000. Special education out of district placements were adjusted, and again, that was based on the CSE meetings. And then that summer school, we were able to pull out of the budget and fund that with the learning loss fund. So we were able to have a reduction there, a total of $375,468. And then we received the additional revenue from state aid. And again, that foundation formula is up and running again. And then our stimulus funding, we're initially going to be using a little under $480,000 from both of those funding sources. So therefore, we were able to eliminate the budget shortfall. So the proposed budget comes in at $47,267,774. And then on to the vehicle reserve. As the board knows, we established a reserve initially back in 2009 and then reallocated again in 2016. We use excess funds for the purchase of school buses and equipment, and the reserve fund allows the district to make bus or equipment purchases that do not affect the amount of the current budget proposal or the tax levy. And the district also receives state aid for bus purchases in the subsequent years, and this aid continues to support the bus replacement program. Taking a look at purchases since 2016 out of this reserve fund, you can see we've been able to purchase a little over $2.1 million in buses and received aid a little over $2.2 million. So our interest received from the aid in the purchase of buses, or purchasing our own buses, is a little over $100,000. In our bus purchase this year, again, will be $674,760. That's 4 66-passenger buses with Wi-Fi. They also have luggage compartments for sports equipment, and then 2 48-passenger buses with Wi-Fi. And then we'll be surplusing 6 vehicles with almost 460,000 miles on them. In the capital outlay side of the budget, again, this is an opportunity for us to do many projects throughout the district when we're not doing a major capital project. And this was set up back in 2016-17, where we identify areas within the district that need to be mitigated. And we then receive 80% aid back on each of those projects. So for instance, over a 10-year period of time, we can do $1 million worth of work for a total cost of $280,000 because we get that aid back of $720,000. This year, we will be completing our high school pool upgrades, including a new scoreboard and also replacing the 4 side basketball backboards in the high school gymnasium. That's really the last upgrade that we need to do in the high school gym. Taking a look at the budget in more detail, at the expenditure side, we're looking at an increase in administration and general support of a little over $300,000. On the instructional side, a little bit over $1 million increase. Transportation, $43,519. A decrease in benefits of $338,000. Debt service, $43,000 decrease. Total general fund budget increase of $985,355. Vehicle reserve purchases of $527,916,000 increase, for a total increase with the vehicles of a little over $1.5 million. Taking a look at this graphically, you can see our instructional program makes up most of our budget at 54%, which is a good thing. That's what we're in the business for. Administration general supports 10%, transportation 5%, benefits 22%, and debt services and other obligations 9%. On the revenue side, our major cost driver comes from state aid, or revenue side of the budget comes from state aid of $431,957. Sales tax and other charges is $25,828. Appropriated fund balance is $749,439. A decrease in the use of our reserves, as mentioned before, of $761,000. Miscellaneous revenue, $13,000. Tax levy will be an increase of $553,238. So the total general fund budget will increase $985,355. Again, looking at this graphically, we get most of our revenue from state aid at 45%, property tax at 40%, use of reserves 2%, appropriated fund balance 8%, miscellaneous revenue 1%, sales tax and other charges 4%. Looking at the three-part budget, there's an increase of 2.06% in administration, 2.41% in program, 0.86% in capital. Total budget to budget increase is 2.13%, or that $985,355. Taking a look at the estimated tax rate considering no change to assessments, full value increase is 54 cents per thousand. Cheektowaga is at full value now at 100%, so they're actually having a decrease of $3.16 per thousand, and Lancaster will have an increase of that 54 cents per thousand. Taking a look at the factors that influence the tax levy, tax rate, and tax bill. If expenditures are down, obviously we need less revenue, so the levy rate and bill come down. If expenditures are up, we need more revenue, the levy rate and bill need to come up. On the revenue side, if our revenues such as state aid or stimulus are higher than what we anticipated, the levy rate and bill can come down. If revenues are down, the levy rate and bill need to go up. On the assessment side, which is what we just saw with Cheektowaga going to 100% from 83% valuation this past year, assessments go up. There's no impact on the actual levy on the dollar amount, because if we need $19 million to balance the budget, we still need $19 million, but the rate and the bill will come down because there's more value to spread amongst all the taxpayers. If assessments are down, again, no impact on the levy, the dollar amount, but the rate and the bill will have to go up because there's less value to spread amongst the taxpayers and be more burden per taxpayer. Taking a look at estimated changes in the 21-22 property tax bills, on a home assessed at $100,000 in Cheektowaga, for this year for 21-22, at 100% equalization rate, the tax bill would be $1,860.07, a decrease of $761.52, and $100,000 in Lancaster for this year. Again, the bill would be $1,860.07, an increase of $54.06. Looking at our budget history, our average tax levy increase since 2001 has been 2.06%, with an average budget increase of 2.46%. So our propositions, the first proposition is the budget. Proposed budget is $47,267,774. Budget to budget percent change is 2.13%, increase of $985,355. The levy will be set at $19,036,522, with a levy increase of $553,238 for the levy percent increase of 2.99%. On the vehicle side, the next proposition is $674,760 for 4 66 passenger buses with Wi-Fi, 2 48 passenger buses with Wi-Fi, and then surplusing 6 vehicles with almost 460,000 in miles. Contingency budget is put in place if the budget were to fail, and therefore we could not raise the tax levy. The budget would then be set at $46,714,536 for an increase of 0.93%. So the budget would only increase $432,117. We would have to back out any non-union salary increases of $27,000. Training, travel, equipment except state-aided hardware and health and wellness equipment of $425,985. take out the capital A project of $100,000 for a total reduction of $553,238. And under a contingency budget, there would be no community use of our facilities without full reimbursement of expenses. Board of Education, which is the next choice you have to make for 2 3-year terms. We have our incumbents, President Sheff and Trustee Young. Budget vote is set for next Tuesday, May 18th from noon to 9 p.m. in the high school gymnasium. That is a shift from Cuba Heights Elementary Library. It will be here in the high school gymnasium. Voter eligibility: must be a citizen of the United States, must be 18 years of age, and must be a resident of the school district for a period of 30 days immediately prior to the vote. So again, the budget vote, the hearing's tonight, and the budget vote is next Tuesday from noon to 9 in the high school gymnasium. And at this time, I will ask if there are any questions from the public.
I do not see any.
Okay. Thank you for participating in the annual budget hearing. Hope to see you next Tuesday. You can make an informed decision. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Just to reiterate, there were no questions from the district residents that came through in the Board of Education email. So may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting tonight, please? No. Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.